INSiiGHTS Sports Talk.
1, 2, talk and talk.
INSiiGHTS Sports Talk. Traveling the country for the biggest stories in collegiate sports. Bringing you the news that will impact every college athlete in America. From the Ivy League to the SWAC, Big Sky to the Big Ten, Notre Dame to Grambling U, Miami or Maine. No university is too big, no college too small. We tell it all. INSiiGHTS Sports Talk with your hosts, the coach, Mickey Clayton and Clayton Smith. They're bringing you insight on all the latest stories from all the biggest names in collegiate sports. Join us for the next 60 minutes for INSiiGHTS Sports Talk. The sports talk show of a different kind.
We are here today with a very special edition of INSiiGHTS. Happy holiday to you, but it's our end of the year edition. Who would have thought when we opened this up 4 months ago that we would be where we are at the end of the year and doing as well as we have already within 2 months, being on iHeartRadio and being such a hit among those of you who are supporting us. We really have appreciated that. But what we're going to do today, because a lot of people don't really know that you can go back and hear past editions of the podcast or past shows on INSiiGHTS, and today, that is what we're going to do. We're going to take a look back. Our program debuted on August 2nd, 2013, with our premiere show, PEDs, Good or Bad. We've grown to our last show with Alabama State, Looking Beyond the Horizon. We've added, by popular demand, a 2-minute drill that we do once a week or so on a real quick hit on whatever's going on. Some of them we brought to you live. We brought the last 2 minutes of the FAMU Alabama State women's basketball game to you live. A 1-point game that Alabama State ended up winning by 1. We got a lot of positive feedback from it. We try very hard to keep you informed of things that everybody else doesn't tell you about. We've produced over 25 shows, and we've had a wide range of topics, such as
1, 2, talk and talk.
Today's show is hot. One of the hottest topics in sports today is the usage of PEDs, performance-enhancing drugs.
Today, we're going to have an exclusive INSiiGHTS interview with Dewar Sharp, the personable and articulate commissioner of the Southwestern Athletic Conference. He is going to allow all of us insights into the SWAC, including possible conference expansion. Can anyone say Big Blue?
Today's show is the NCAA on the ropes. We're going to talk about some of the key issues with the NCAA: money, lawsuits, schools wanting to control their own destiny.
This show is entitled HBCU Football. Is the future here? Let's be honest here. We smoothed back the Legend series with Bill Hayes to capture the situation at Grambling, but the situation at Grambling could very easily happen anywhere. And in a lot of cases, already has. We have a lot of different things we're going to let you hear about. For example, we heard from a few just pure fans, like the Aggie fans, when they do that Aggie pride. Yeah. We talked to a number of people at the Atlanta Classic, and also we'll have some interesting comments from some of the South Carolina State fans as well. In fact, GT, why don't you cue that up and let them hear a few bites from some of those people who were at the game. Some of them didn't make it to the game. They were outside tailgating, getting their eat on. Some getting their drink on, too. So we're going to let you hear a few things that they had to say.
1, 2, talk and talk.
Aggie pride.
See, they mean that, boy. They do that everywhere. I'm going to let this young lady introduce herself to you and tell her a little bit about what it's like to be from A&T and about playing the Atlanta Classic, being a participant here this year.
So, hello, everybody. My name is Kia King. Of course, I went to A&T, Aggie pride. I'm out here with all my fellow Aggies as we enjoy this great Atlanta Classic and as we get ready to hand the Bulldogs that L as we have done thus far with other opponents that we have faced this year.
Carolina State's supposed to be here.
Okay.
We are what we're supposed to be. That's right. We're supposed to be here.
Okay.
We should be here every year.
Okay.
That's right. We going for that MEAC again.
Okay.
And not only that, we're going for the FCS championship. We're on our way to Frisco, Texas.
Frisco, baby.
Frisco.
You ought to see them. They're pointing towards Frisco now.
That's right, baby. That's right. We learned directions at South Carolina State.
The one-on-one.
You better know that.
Tell us
The
your name
Bulldogs.
and about your experience at South Carolina State.
My name's Elgin, class of 1993, Alpha Phi Alpha, baseball player. Loved it. If I could do it all over again, I would. Yes, sir. Thank you.
My name is Larry Emanuel Ryder II, class of 01, South Carolina State, Kappa Kappa Psi, marching 101, Bongo brother. It is what it is. You know, just because we're in your league don't mean that you in ours. Salute.
What we've been hearing all over the parking lot, that Aggie Pride or something that we're hearing about?
Aggie Pride is always, it's nationwide. Here with some of my alumni friends from A&T, Mr. Tom Irvin.
Aggie Pride.
Mr. Juan Tillman over there. We have a bunch of folks here, and we're just enjoying the festivities. Atlanta's been great to us. We're really enjoying the whole Aggie Pride here, and of course A&T's going to win the game, so it's going to put us at, what's that, 5-0? Oh yeah, so it's a done deal. It's going to happen. It's going down like that.
What does it mean to you to play the South Carolina State Bulldogs, which they say they're the real Bulldog? What does that mean to play that game here in Atlanta?
Well, it's really wonderful simply because in the past 20, 25 years, I have to admit, South Carolina State has probably won more games, but it's about today and it's about now.
I think we're lucky out here today. I told you we just had a chance to talk to Coach Jeffries, and we got, looks like a couple of his football players standing over here, but I'm going to let this young man I'm talking to introduce himself to you, tell you when he played for Coach Jeffries, and what brings him to the Atlanta Classic.
I actually live in Atlanta. I played with Coach Jeffries back from 89 to 94. Went all to play in the Canadian Football League, 12 years, Hall of Fame. But the things that Coach Jeffries taught me, and Coach Blacknell, former Coach Blacknell, God bless his soul, who taught me, you know, the game, was enabled. I took those talents and took the reading abilities that he taught me up there to the Canadian game, and was able to, you know, to be able to expand my game as well.
Okay, tell the audience your name and where you're from.
Joe Mumford. I live here in Atlanta, but the funny thing about it is I'm from Beaufort, North Carolina, so all my family and friends went to A&T. I was just able, Coach Jeffries came down in the country, down in the sticks, and picked me up and pulled me up and gave me a scholarship, so wearing that garnet and blue today.
We also had a legend series. We had two very, very, very influential, legendary people at that institution. One former FAMU president, Dr. Frederick S. Humphries. He was our first Legends interview. His story was so interesting and compelling, so entertaining, filled with historical facts, that the HBCU presidential legend had two shows. And we're going to get some things and some bites from him. He had some things on the bus boycott. He had some historical information. He let people know how the Rattler Charge started. And if you ever came to a FAMU homecoming, you've heard him. We also have from Bill Hayes. He gave us a lot of insight in this, selecting coaches, the things that you need to do to get your athletic department straight. He had a lot of things that he had to say. So we're going to stop right now, and we're going to let you hear from the Legend series and let you hear some interesting quotes from both of them, and we think that you'll enjoy hearing them.
1, 2, talk that talk.
This time in America, when we celebrate the 50th anniversary of Martin Luther King, and all of these people are giving their speeches about 50 years ago, and in 1963, when Martin gave that speech on the Mall up in Washington, was the year that a ton of students from FAMU marched downtown to be in sympathy and do lunch counter desegregation, that black people could sit at lunch counters, and we demonstrated, made the cover of Life magazine, because our student body marched in unison.
Our students were on the cover of Life magazine?
Yeah, okay. For doing that. Back in 1963, same year that Martin did the speech on the Mall, FAMU students marched downtown Tallahassee to, in keeping with what was happening all across the South in terms of the desegregation of lunch counters, okay? So same year when they, you know, when you looked at, if you looked at the what they were showing this last several days, right? The bus rides, right? Tennessee State just gave a baccalaureate degree to about 29 students who were freedom riders who went down there. I mean, if you went to see The Butler, the movie The Butler, the son Lewis was in the Freedom Riders. He was from Fisk, but the movie didn't show Tennessee State, right? Well, Tennessee State sent a bus down there for the Freedom Riders, right? And they put all those kids out of school. When they came back, they were dismissed from Tennessee State. And so Tennessee State and the border regions just rectified that by bringing all those kids back and giving them a baccalaureate degree.
So tell me, you know, there was a big, I mean, a large number of games that were played with these guaranteed games. And you've been on both ends. I mean, you've been on it all the way around. What is your thought on institutions and schools that end up playing the guarantee games, and has your thought on it changed at all from being when you were coaching to now that you're an administrator in charge of raising money?
Well, I'm not going to put my coach in a bad position. That's first.
Okay.
I'm not going to put him in a bad position. So then when they give me the budget, if the budget's not what it ought to be, then the onus is on me and my team to raise the money to fill the gap. I'm not going to make him fill the gap by getting his fanny beat on. Now, I don't want to criticize people who do that because that's their method. That just happens not to be my method. So the onus is on me. If I need $1.5 million, I need $2 million, then I want to make a plan early on so I can close that gap. And I'll get out here and hustle with my staff and go to alumni meetings and talk to folk, because people don't realize most states don't fund athletics. You got to raise that money or get that money at the gate. So the onus is on the athletic director and his team to find ways to fill that gap. And you know what's coming up. You know back in March that the gap's going to be there to pay those kids scholarships and bills in September. So you got ample time to get out and shake that tree and find that money. You got golf tournaments, all kind of events. Mickey, we had 25 events when I was down there. You know, we tried real hard to close that gap. Remember? Mm-hmm. And we didn't. But then there are those people who can go out and make $500,000 playing a guaranteed game, or even more sometimes. And sometimes when you feel like you've got a good team and you can compete, then you go out and you do that. I just never been involved with that situation very much. I know when I was at FAM, I was talking to Georgia for about $750 to come up and play, but I thought Joe's team was pretty strong at that period, and it was getting better, and he needed to get over the hump and financially, so he could do some more things. And so we talked about it, but we never did. We never pulled the trigger.
Bill Hayes and Dr. Humphries both know how to command the audience. Dr. Humphries' show, along with the Atlanta Classic with John Grant, by far, those were our most listened to and popular shows. They got tweeted, retweeted, twatted, and retweeted. They were followed. They were posted on websites, on Facebook pages. Everybody wanted to hear those stories, and those stories did exceptionally well for Insights. John Grant was able to give us some insight into the 100 Black Men, the Atlanta Classic. He opened up the Atlanta Classic to us to give us the sights and sounds of the Atlanta Classic, which did exceptionally well and had a tremendous following. We would like to say thank you very much to everybody who interviewed with us. Some people went the extra mile, and they promoted their interview with Insights on their own websites to their own audience, and that allowed us to get increased listeners. And we thank you, John Grant, at the 100 Black Men, for doing that. We also were able to interview someone in the fan experience who had received a scholarship from the 100 Black Men and was able to go to college off of it, and gave us some real good insight into that.
How you doing? I'm Elliot Teray. I'm a member of the 100 Black Men of Atlanta. Member of the 100 Black Men of Atlanta. Also was one of the original recipients of the scholarship offered by the 100 Black Men. So over time, I've over 25 years now, I've been involved with this organization in one way or another. I've benefited and continue to benefit as a member by being able to, by giving me a venue to reach back into the community that I come from.
Thank you, George, for taking over my microphone. He always did take over. He did that even when he was at A&M. But tell us some more. Give us a little bit more information about the scholarship and what that allowed you to do as a result of that. Tell our listening audience a little bit more about how that actually does benefit the students and what happens as a result.
The scholarship in itself is as much time as it is financial. The students that are selected to become beneficiaries of the scholarship, they also receive mentoring from members of the organization, as well as members of the Emerging 100 and Collegiate 100. So they get exposure that they probably would not normally get exposure to. In addition to being able to go to college campuses, being exposed to robotics and other things, they also get to engage one-to-one with black men, successful black men, with their families, going to their jobs, learning about new careers and other opportunities that, again, it would probably be unlikely that they know about and gain exposure to without the scholarship. But the scholarship in itself, the financial part of it, which is probably the part that stands out in most people's mind, is a full 4-year scholarship, 100% paid, that the students receive, and it's promised, and all they have to do is go out there and earn it. And earn it means getting accepted into college. We're willing to take up the bill for that because the whole purpose of this is to end generations of uneducated.
Trying something new. That's what it's about.
Ready?
Yep.
It didn't look good, man. When I hear you talk about you trying new things, it's refreshing. Now, I'm gonna be honest with you. When I play this back, you're not gonna like it. What do you think that you're not good at? Technically, that was really bad. You're not bending your knees at all.
Yeah.
You knocked up like a 2x4. Relax. Do I play basketball? No. But if you wanted to invite me, don't bend your knees, but let them loose a little bit. Wiggle, but not really too much. Back straight, but not really.
Ain't you got somewhere else to go?
No, I'm here all day. I would do it because that's me trying new things.
Hello? What up, homie? I'm trying to relax. Kev won't leave me alone.
Hello? Come on. And splash.
Why you laughing?
This ain't just sport, man. This is golf. But it's fine. We're trying something new. Yeah, let me get that. Try it again. Let's try it one more time.
One of the things that we really wanted to do, we wanted to be both entertaining and we wanted to be informative. We promoted our show as one that every time you listen to us, you'd at least gain some information that you didn't know before. Now, one of the more entertaining interviews we've had, and we've had a couple, but that Dr. Jackson from Southern and the Human Jukebox, oh my God, he was hilarious. Yeah, baby. He started talking about some of the things that went on among the bands, and the more he talked into the interview, he got warmed up. Not warmed up, he got warmed up. And he was entertaining, and we got a lot of feedback from people who had never heard him talk before, but really, really got excited about his interview. I know we got a little bit we could play from him because he was a funny guy. I could talk to him all day.
First of all, in HBCU schools, the athletic program needs the band program, and the band program needs the athletic program. We need each other. And it's no experience that you can experience like coming to an HBCU football game because we take it another level. First of all, we have the zero quarter. There's a thing called a zero quarter where we battle before the game starts. Mm-hmm. We just cranking. We just playing selections that's gonna get our fans amped up, and we try to. It's like a chess game. You know, it's like a heavyweight boxing match. You punch and counter punch. You got about 60 selections that you could choose from, and really, technically, by the end of the year, you ought to have about 85, 90 selections that your band should be able to rip off like that.
Wait a minute. You said 85 to 90?
Selections, yeah.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, for memory. We talking about for memory. These kids, that's from standard marches to hip-hop, R&B, rap song, old school, Marvin Gaye, Frankie Beverly and Mays, Earth, Wind and Fire, and then all of the guys who are the rappers now. Oh yeah, you got to come with it. and we when we get off the bus, it's wartime. I'm sorry. When we step off the bus and you march in that stadium, marching in a stadium is a pageantry. It's a pageantry. Everybody watching, see how if your lines are straight, we come in blowing. So when you get in the stands and you warm up, it's crank time now. You putting on the show before the game starts. You're putting on the show during the game because between plays and they call timeout. Either your opponent is playing or we're playing, then somebody scores a touchdown. That's why your teams have to score touchdowns because you can't really play when another school score a touchdown unless they play and they have time before the kickoff for you to play again. So it's always good for your team to have a great offense so you can get a chance to play. The more your team score, the more chances you have of playing. And then we have this thing, we have the halftime show. And then everybody waiting, and they give you scores. They go online, and your fans will say who outdid what band. And then you have fifth quarter, where you play anywhere from 5 to 10 more selections, each band. Sometimes we'll play until the lights are off. They cut our lights off in the stadium, and we still playing. Yeah.
They say the lights off and y'all still playing, Doc.
We were playing, I tell you what, hold on, let me get this up. I'm in an interview. Doc, I remember one year we were at Alcorn, and I was a student, and that was in the 70s, and they cut the lights off on us in Alcorn. Cut the lights off on us. I remember Alcorn under the legendary Dr. Samuel Griffin, who's a really good friend of mine. He's since then retired. I'm thinking last year he retired. They ran out of music, and they went back to the band room and got some more music to just sight read so they wouldn't leave before the visiting band. Well, it get crazy. I remember they locked the gate on us in Jackson State. They cut the lights off. They put the sprinklers on this on the field, and we were still playing. And none of the bands could get out because they had locked the gates. They had to call somebody to come get the gates unlocked to let the bands out. It's serious business.
Yeah, he gets them going. One of the things that's doing the show that really made it interesting and fun was the fact that a lot of the people that we interviewed were personal friends, people that I had developed relationships with over the years as a Florida A&M student, working at Florida A&M and working in the conference and getting to know people at different steps along the way that helped us put this show together and helped us be able to do what we did and what we hope to continue doing. One of them was a longtime personal friend, Alvin Wyatt, who was at Bethune-Cookman University. I knew him as the women's basketball coach when I was the women's basketball coach at Florida A&M, and he went on to, man, he had some heck of a teams down there then, and had a lot of success as a Bethune-Cookman football coach and was the interim head football coach at Edward Waters. We had a real good interview, and he's going to tell you for himself a little bit about the interview that he and I had. And we didn't air this part of it, but we're going to air it now so that you could hear it.
I've never opened up to anybody like I just opened up to you. I've never talked before my interview either. But you're my friend. You know, you're my friend. You're my boy. Even though we had those battles.
And we had him, boy, but that's why I tell you, Alvin be acting crazy. Alvin know what he doing. Alvin be messing with y'all head. You can't let Alvin, guys, tell you can't let him get in your head now. You let Alvin get in your head, that's half the battle. He over there laughing at you.
Hey, I'm telling you, it's the insight. I talk that talk.
The relationship that we have between Bethune-Cookman and Florida A&M, a lot of people just think it's always adversarial, but it's not. A lot of us are really close friends. Lynn Thompson, the athletic director of Bethune-Cookman, helped us a lot. You'll hear his voice. We had interviews with him. Also, he recommended that we talk to Albert Bethune and put us in touch with Albert Bethune, who is the grandson of Mary McCloud Bethune. And anybody in Black history knows who that is. He gave us a very compelling interview that actually coincided with the current presidents at Florida A&M and Bethune-Cookman at the Florida Classic. They didn't do a lot of bantering back and forth. They talked about the things that both institutions do collaboratively to help each other, federal funding and grants they get, things that they do to help each other. And it really offended him that he thought that everybody felt that A&M and Cookman were hated rivalries and didn't get along. And he gave us some historical information on some of the things that Florida A&M did to help Bethune-Cookman and some of the things that Bethune-Cookman did to help Florida A&M, and really set the record straight, and was one of our more informative historical shows that we had. That one and the one that we had with Dr. Humphries. And Albert Bethune, he would tell you, I'm 93 years old, and he talks about the fact that he got 3 wives, or had 3 wives, hope he still doesn't have all 3, and 11 children. So he's a compelling and interesting figure to talk to as well. We're going to let you hear a little bit from Albert Bethune.
In the summer, FAMU would send their a person who was in charge of their instruments to come down and check those instruments of our band and help do repairs at no cost financially to Bethune-Cookman. See, those are the things people don't know, and that's why I said this relationship between the two schools is a sister-brother thing, and it should never reach the stage where there's animosity or hate. You've got to realize Bethune-Cookman, FAMU, you have graduates from FAMU, you have graduates from BCU who have married together in the same household, all over the state, all over the country. So it's a family situation between the two. So they get their BS from, back in the early days, from FAMU, from BC. Then when they want their masters, they come up to FAMU. And that's the way their lifestyle is. Their children growing up between the two schools, they have this relationship. A lot of the families used to tell me, well, this year is my year. I'm a BC graduate, so I had to pull for BC. And the next year would be the wife's year, so she would have the control of who she wanted to win. And I remember one incident that really brought me close to BCU, to FAMU. When President Perry was president, I was having a problem with one of my daughters getting scholarship aid because of a presidential situation. So I remembered Missouri Farmer, who was a former graduate and from Tallahassee, was President Perry's executive secretary. So I called Missouri. I said, Missouri, I need some help could you let me talk to the president? And we made arrangements. He had me to bring my daughter, Mary Bethune, to FAMU and gave her full scholarship, books and everything. Something her great-grandmother's administrators refused her.
Thanks, Albert, for sharing that. GT, thanks for keeping up with all of that stuff. Gerald Tooks, award-winning producer and disc jockey back in the WANM radio days. You know, to help us get our show started, we had two gentlemen who really stepped up and helped us early. Dewar Sharp from the SWAC. He's the commissioner of the SWAC, gave us our first interview was with Dewar Sharp, and he was very easy to talk to, talked very openly and candidly about the state of the Southwestern Athletic Conference and a school that he was actively recruiting to try to get them to come to the SWAC. And he talked about that and some of the issues with that are going to be coming up that we'll hear from him again as we head into the new year with the NCAA convention coming up. But Dewar Sharp gives us some real insight to SWAC, and we'd like for you to hear that too. And along with Herb Reinhardt, former all-conference kicker at Florida A&M University, who's now the athletic director at Valdosta State, and that's Titletown, USA. In his interview, he gave us some insight, but when he talked about the names that walked across that southern Georgia campus in that red clay that went all across the country to be highly successful coaches, you began to understand why Valdosta State has such an outstanding success in their football programs. So those were one of our first two. They were two of our first three interviews, and Gerald's going to go back and let you hear a little bit from them.
Again, man, you sit down and you look at all the positives and you look at all the negatives. And it's really just my job to go back to the Council of Presidents and Chancellors and provide them with an A option, a B option, and a C option. At that point, it's turned over to the council, and they make the decisions. I think a lot of people think that, well, you're the commissioner, so you tell the presidents and chancellors what to do. That's not the case here. In any conference, the commissioner reports to the Council of Presidents and Chancellors. It's not the other way around. They don't report to me. I think, and I'm not naive when I sit here and I talk to you, and there are things that are going to happen that sometimes you don't see happen. You want to be open to everything. There's a possibility of anything that can happen, especially with the landscape and with realignment where schools are going, you know what, we're going to be able to get more money from a distribution if we join this league. I'm quite sure there are schools in the SWAC that feel that way, who feel like, hey, if we join a different league, we probably would be able to get more financial benefit from it. The only thing I'm saying is that, when you join a conference, you're tied to those schools. And I think as far as HBCUs and SWAC, I think our bond is a little bit tighter because the money you're talking about, you're not talking about hundreds of millions of dollars. We're not talking about that. That's when you look at those big five schools, they're talking about hundreds of millions of dollars. In some cases, you're talking billions of dollars. For us, we're not talking that. So if the financial gain is not so, how can I say, not so
significant?
Exactly, not so significant. Why would you leave a school or schools, plural, that you've grown up with, that you have always been a family with? So I think that's how I look at it. But again, at the end of the day, this is a business, and people are going to do exactly what's in their best interest from a business standpoint. So I think that's the reason why you hear the Big Five saying we're going to go start our own division, because you guys down here that can't afford it, you guys are holding us back. We should be able to pay our student athletes $2,000 if we want to, and because you can't afford it, you shouldn't stop us from doing it. And again, at the same time, I think that's where it comes when you're a part of association. Can't always do what you want to do all the time.
1, 2, talk that talk.
Football coaches clinic that we think that we're going to try to do in the spring, and that coaches clinic will be centered around the football coaches that have been part of Valdosta State. And when you're talking about Muschamp, who's at Florida now, he was here as our defensive coordinator. Dana Holgerson, who's the head coach at the University of West Virginia, was on our staff. Of course, Hal Mumme, who is now he left Valdosta State to go to Kentucky, and he's now on the SMU staff. He's the passing game coordinator for June Jones. And Chris Hatcher, who when I hired him, he was the youngest head coach in the country, and he's at Murray State right now, and is still considered to be one of the young rising stars in the coaching world. And Kirby Smart, who's the defensive coordinator at the University of Alabama. Most people that follow college football recognize that name. Kirby was at Valdosta State and was our defensive coordinator prior to leaving us to go to LSU. Guy Morris, who was on our staff. Guy went on to be the head coach at Baylor. So just a tremendous number of Mike Leach. Mike Leach, the infamous Mike Leach.
You say infamous Mike Leach, that's right.
Who, he was the offensive coordinator here at Valdosta State when I came. He was part of the staff that I was able to put together when I came here, and Mike was here, and then of course went to Kentucky, and then went to Oklahoma, and of course was the very, very successful head coach at Texas Tech, and is now at Washington State. After sitting down there in the Keys for a while and doing his radio show. So we think it's we're working actively now to try to bring all that crew back and for a big clinic, and if we can do that, it'll be very exciting.
What's better, faster or slower?
Faster!
Okay, what's fast?
My mom's car and a cheetah.
Okay.
A spaceship.
Spaceship. And what's slow?
My grandma's slow.
Would you like it better if she was fast?
I bet she would like it if she was fast.
Maybe give her some turbo boosters.
Tape a cheetah to her back?
Tape a cheetah to her back. Seems like you've thought about this before.
It's not complicated. Faster is better. An iPhone 5 downloads fastest on AT&T 4G.
We also had a punch. That was me hitting Clayton Smith and counterpunch when he would throw a weak punch back segment between myself and Clayton. You can hear a few of those battles, but what you won't hear is Clayton winning because he didn't win. I kept knocking him out. But there was some good exchanges in there, and I think Gerald got a few he's going to edit up and let everybody listen to him.
This is Insights, and I got a subdued Clayton Smith over here because I did hit him with a left and a right.
I'd be subdued.
Can I see? That's because you on them steroids. Took that blow, get right up. Insights is back again with punch, and counter punch. Last week I knocked him out. What you gonna say? You took a standing 8 count. You good to go today?
I'm good.
Good to go. We're gonna talk a little bit about what's
going on.
That was
a split decision,
Split in your mind. That's about it. Split him. I split him right in the forehead. That's why I split him. We back. Punch. Counter punch. Oh, just a whole bunch of punches going around. Last time we were here, we had a draw. Clayton came up and threw a few that time. I don't know what it was. I got to look at his coffee, see what's in there.
Well, Mickey, you actually 1-1, but we won't get into that.
We already into it. It's 1-0-1.
You may not even have to be a student.
See, that's that discussion we had last week that you got knocked out on about the students and being athletes. But the thing is the money trail. It's always the money. And the NCAA has always been on the cutting edge in terms of marketing and making money for itself. If it sees something, it'll kill it and eat it. And they have been very productive in doing that. That's when the basketball tournament started to bear fruit, they were picking all the fruit off of it. If the larger schools go on their own, they're gonna be, they feel like they'll have their own basketball tournament, which now takes that from them. And will the NCAA end up being the NAIA?
The NCAA is going to end up being the prey.
It's going to end up being what?
They're going to end up being the prey. They're not, what they done.
The rabbit getting the gun.
That's right. The rabbit has the gun.
Mm-hmm.
The rabbit already has the gun. So all the large schools have to do right now is to turn the gun around and say, we want the basketball tournament. And it's all over.
Punch and counterpunch.
1, 2, talk that talk.
We hope that you've enjoyed taking a look back over the last 30%, 33% of the year in athletics, in insights, and we hope that you gained a vision, gained some insight into things that are going on that everybody doesn't talk about. We tried to talk about even some controversial topics. I mean, we tried not to sugarcoat it. We tried to be honest. We talked about sexual misconduct in college athletics. We talked about the Grambling situation, Jameis Winston. We talked about bans in football, friend or foe. If you missed one of these shows and would like to hear them, go to our website, www.INSiiGHTS, INSiiGHTS, Insights. What do we say, Credell Wingate? 2 eyes in the middle, Insights. And you could pull up any of our podcasts and listen to them. You'll really see that some of the things we talked about them before mainstream America did. You could go in there and listen, find out. When you work it out, plug it in, because it's on iHeart. Go to Spreaker, click that you want to follow it. That way, when we do a live show, they'll send you an email to let you know that we're doing it live so you can catch the live shows wherever we may be doing them from. We wanted it to be fun and entertaining. We hope that we've done that, and we hope that our show continues to get better and brings you something that you're not hearing everywhere else. Thank you for your support. As we will give you a few minutes as we close to let you hear some of those people that have been on the show that are asking you to listen to Insights. This is Insights. We look for more in 2014, and we're going to try to give you more. And we want more of you to keep supporting us.
1, 2, talk that talk.
Thank you.
I'm Bill Hamilton, retired sports information director from South Carolina State.
I'm Dennis Thomas, commissioner of the Mid-Eastern Athletic Conference, better known as the MEAC.
Hey there, this is Gilda Cobb Hunter, Orangeburg, South Carolina.
Hi, my name is John Grant, CEO 100 Black Men of Atlanta.
Hi, sports fans. I'm Lynn Thompson, athletic director at Bethune-Cookman University.
Hi, I'm Alvin Wyatt, head football coach, Edward Wallace College, Jacksonville, Florida. It is my pleasure to tell you, if you want to hear some good talk, and I mean they can talk that talk, you listen to Insight. Check it out. You'll love it.
Insights is a copyright of MAC4 Enterprises, a Florida corporation. This broadcast is produced under the exclusive ownership of MAC4 Enterprises and is the intellectual property and trademark of MAC4 Enterprises. The comments of the host and other individual speakers on Insights represent their independent thoughts and representations.